What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bilbrons and Dragons. I'm your host, Bilbron DaoLockStone. So today we're having another battle report for my Molebron DaoLockStone build, which I've been playing on a Westmarch server called the Forged Concordance, and I think it's super awesome. It's the biggest Westmarch out there. It's got great DMs, a great rule system, very well organized, so highly recommended. All of the relevant information will be in the video description below. Check it out and we can adventure together. So today's adventure was called Crater Critters, run by DM Pepper. And DM Pepper did a fantastic job. My first time at his table, and I can't wait for the next one. He had great reskinning, very strong on the rules, things moved along briskly, just overall a great session. So thanks a lot to DM Pepper for providing it to me. So the story begins, as it always does, with Bilbron riding in from Viscala, stopping in at Haroon to check up on the goings-on in Mydath because of my Genasi connection, and then on to the Forged Concordance headquarters, rolling up to the job board and looking for a gig. And as usual, there weren't that many silver jobs to be had. Like, silver is that, kind of, hard spot in between the really dangerous missions and the not-so-dangerous ones. And I guess the people that want, people for really dangerous missions can afford to hire golds. So I haven't really found too many silver jobs, but once again, there was a gold mission assembling, and I decided to go up and see if I could punch up into it. And so fortunately, I was allowed to join a pretty small 4-man team comprised of Grinzold, who was a Leonin Bear Totem Barbarian. There was Sephron, who was a Tiefling Light Cleric / Battlesmith Artificer, and Logi, a Kobold who I had an adventure before, dethroning the Danger Horse, where we executed a Sassy Unicorn Prince, but back then he was an Arcane Archer. This time around he was a Psi Warrior, which you can do that in the Forged Concordance, retrain your levels if you like. So he was still an Archer, but had decided to go with the Psi Warrior subclass, which I thought was pretty cool. I hadn't played with a Psi Warrior yet, and I think it's a very interesting subclass, and watching him use those abilities was very cool. So that was the team, and the job was for a Captain Russ Miller of the Viscalan Special Ops Corps, I think it was called. And we never actually met up with the client. It was all based on the note that he gave, but he said in the near the crater where there used to be a city called Grimsby, and I don't know what that's all about, but it doesn't sound too pretty. Giant crater where a city used to be. But his forces had noticed an abandoned factory that seemed to be spewing out hostiles that were attacking people in the region, and he wanted to hire a team to go clear it out. So Grimsby turned out to be not that far away, only about a day's travel. So, Bilbron being somewhat hoity-toity, high society, elitist, no calluses, and that sort of type, brought everyone into his ring, because at 10th level now he has Sanctuary Vessel. So we all kicked it on my plush cushions as I served tea and cookies and had my familiar Fargar fly us over to Grimsby. And we all chatted and got to know each other and what we can do and how we like to fight and all of that necessary stuff. And then we arrived at Grimsby, and it was pretty easy to find this abandoned factory. And so we disembarked from the Sanctuary Vessel, and I sent Fargar up to investigate. And yeah, there were hostiles there. Upon approach, Fargar got blasted by a ballista, which fortunately did fire damage, so he was immune to that. But we figured we better rush the gates. And so we stormed in over this type of stone bridge and made our way up to these gates, having to fight our way through a bunch of constructs that were appearing. It was like there were a bunch of ballistas and stuff set up along the way, and then those ballistas would turn into these constructs, which were like dragons, but not huge, more like medium-sized dragon-y sort of constructs. And it was a little annoying because Bilbron normally goes with a White Abishai here, but because Sephron was uneasy with that, I had agreed to just use Tasha's summons, And so I had used Summon Beholderkin, because that's the only flying ranged summon that I have available from the slate of Tasha's options, and these things were immune to psychic damage. So that was annoying, but we were doing pretty good damage to them anyway, and I got some value out of my summon as damage soak. So, it worked out, and after a fairly easy battle, we managed to get inside the factory. And we first saw a long stone hallway or passageway, and at the end of it was a giant door, and around was scattered like some crates and some junk, no hostiles or anything. And there was a keypad at the door, and it seemed like way too big and strong for us to break through it or use magic or anything. So we had to figure out a puzzle to get through the door. But we managed to figure it out, and we entered this correct sequence into the keypad, and we moved on into the next room. And this was another long stone passageway or hallway, again with a large door at the end of it. But this time there were 4 little alcoves on each side, so 8 total. And you can see in the alcoves was like a kind of coffin or chamber of some kind. And we didn't really have much time to investigate, because pretty much once we started walking into this room, a construct burst from the ceiling and then dropped with a hero landing. And it looked like a soldier of some kind. I don't really know, but a bunch of other little soldier type constructs popped out of these chambers, and the battle was on. And they were crackling lightning, and they kept spewing little lightning bolts at people, and the lightning could heal at least the big guy and maybe all of the other ones. Or by big guy, I mean the leader. But the team did very well. This was a very well-constructed team. Grinzold was a great weapon master that pumped out great damage through melee. Logi was a sharpshooter that was pumping out great damage through ranged attacks. Sephiron was a great support caster, hooked us up with a 6th level aid, was throwing out Wall of Fire and Fireball, and the Light Cleric has a great Channel Divinity that does radiant damage, and and Bilbron is competent. So yeah, the team is strong, and we managed to win this battle, even though it was fairly difficult. There was a lot of them, and they were definitely putting the hurt on Logi, because they were kind of focus firing on him, and I think they managed to bring him down or close to it. But overall, we weren't hurt too badly. We were able to get Logi back, and then we took a short rest to recover our breath, and then we moved on into the next room. This time the door didn't have a keypad or anything. And this next one was a very interesting battle. So I put the map up, and you can see that there was kind of like a spiral entrance into the big room where we were going to have the battle. And I had moved my summons up, because I like to lead with the summons, and that way they get attacked while the party doesn't. And inside were a bunch of constructs that had blind sight. So they immediately noticed my summons, and man, we were rolling initiative while we were still coming up the stairs. And this battle was very annoying, because these constructs were freaking immune to everything. First of all, there was a bunch of 6 flying winged scorpion-like constructs. And then there were a couple of other dudes that were black clad soldiers. I don't know if they were constructs or not, because they had, helmets and hoods and stuff. But I presume, maybe, I don't know. But they did have flamethrowers. So we're just tossing out all these fireballs into this constrained area where the team was forced to go through before we could even enter that room. Plus, when you hit them, they would do fire damage to you, and yeah, very formidable. Very annoying to Bilbron, because these constructs were immune to everything. I couldn't use my Eldritch Blast on them because they were immune to Force. I couldn't use my new Toll the Dead, which I had just added, because they were immune to Necrotic, and they were immune to Fire, they were immune to Psychic, they had Blind Sight, yeah. But fortunately we had Grinzold and Logi, and they do their damage the old-fashioned way. And I had summons out there, so they were doing damage and soaking damage. And Sephiron had his Channel Divinity, which for a Light Cleric is impressive and does radiant damage. And so we managed to win that battle, but it was tough. Man, those constructs were no joke. And so we then investigated the room, which was pretty large and looked like a factory with all of these machines that were grinding out, components and stuff. And I decided to bring the party into the sanctuary vessel and get us a 10-minute short rest. And then we had to go through another door where there was another keypad, and we had to do another puzzle, and it was pretty funny because we had really no idea what to do based on the clues. But then once we started trying stuff, it was something that was not what we expected, but we managed to figure it out and get into the next room. And this seemed to be the final battle, because waiting for us at the end of this long, skinny room was a mad scientist who was clearly insane and cackling and gloating and saying how he's going to take over the world and, blah, blah, blah. Typical short-sighted, evil stuff, right? You got to be lawful evil and take that long view if you're going to build anything. But yeah, this guy just thought it'd be a good idea to build a bunch of constructs and start attacking people nearby as if, people are going to let him get away with that. But we did parlay a little bit because he was flanked by a fire elemental and then another, humanoid soldier type construct. This one was large, though. And so Daolock broke down pretty quickly and battle was on. And this battle went pretty smoothly. My summons and I think it was and Logi killed the fire elemental right away, and then Grinzold and my summon charged up on the caster, the mad scientist guy. But very funny to Bilbron, I decided to use my stone shape ultimate defense because of the circumstance. And then the frickin' robot thing just stepped on top of it. And I couldn't push my stupid hatch open. I'm like, God dang it, what the heck? And I considered teleporting out of it because I had a few slots and dimension door and all of that. But by then the fire elemental was dead and Grinzold and my summon were basically ripping up the caster. And I, knew from Sephron's spiritual weapon not affecting this construct that it also had force immunity. So I was like, man, even if I teleport out here, the enemies that I can do damage to are basically taken care of. All that's left is this construct thing, and I'm not going to be able to do anything to it. So I just stayed in the stone-shaped bunker, twiddling my thumbs more or less while the rest of the team finished off the construct. And that was pretty much it. We explored and found our way to the roof, and so we had gone through the entire complex and had cleared it out of all of the hostiles within. So yeah, mission accomplished. We went back to the Forged Concordance headquarters. We received our gold from the client and our badges for mission success, and that was it. I'm now only 2 badges away from 11th level and being a gold badge, which I'm very excited for because 11th level is quite a power bump, right? So thanks so much to DM Pepper for providing me that experience. Again, I think he did a great job and I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much to the team for helping me get through it, and thank you so much for watching. This has been Bilbrons and Dragons. I'm your host, Bilbron DaoLockStone. See you next time.